into our big conversation this morning. But before I jump into that real quickly now, ready to unwind all your hustle in a day? Then say hello to happiness this 1st of May at the Tunnel Lounge with quality entertainment and guest service. Now come eat and drink and also network whilst we serve you with the latest music jams from your top DJs, sets and tropical experience. With Tunnel Lounge, anything is possible. Now you have to call this number 0551 556 444. You can call 0551 556 999. Easy does it. And of course, you can lock yourself in if you want to make any inquiries as well. Also, Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood, and quality Ghanaian movies come alive on the big screens at the Silverbird Cinemas. Now, get the very best entertainment you deserve. Create and share amazing moments. Create amazing moments. Amazing moments. I repeat, with the ones you truly love, truly underlined. With a movie treat at Silverbird Cinemas, West Hills Mall and Accra Mall. You can find them there. Now it's showing John Wick Part 4, the 4th installment, Super Mario Brothers, the movie, Creed Part 3, A Taste of Sin, Renfield, and The Pope's Exorcist. I love to watch that. I love horror movies. Who's joining me? Who's joining me for the cuddle in the couch? Visit www.silverbirdcinemas.com/West Hills or Accra for showing times, or call 0544 310 4140 or 059 399 7086 if you want more details. Hurry up and let's make that happen. All right, now this morning's conversation is going to be very interesting, I tell you. So, on Culture Daily for the past almost a year, if I can say that, we've been having very insightful conversations about our music industry and how we can grow it. In addition to that, we've been having master classes so we can all learn from our mistakes and even from the things we don't know. All of us. Now, so far, so good. And let me say thanks to all of you who have been sharing our videos, taking pieces, as well as posting them on your platforms. And also, please do also credit us on the platforms when you post it. We'll be very glad. Okay? Talking credits in this one, let me say a very big thank you to Ghana Web for sharing this insightful conversation online as well. And that's what our big convo is based on this morning. So now, veteran music producer Zap Mallet has disclosed that during his tenure as the board member of GAMRO, that's the Ghana Music Rights Organization, a planned introduction to set up a system that will aim at outlining the earning percentages of each contributor involved in music projects in terms of royalties failed to materialize. Now, in a report that he on myjoyonline.com, Zap Mallet expressed his disappointment in the Ghanaian music industry's poor royalty system, stating that many issues needed to be addressed to improve the industry. Let me hold on right here. That is going to be our convo this morning on music leadership and industry. But to make this happen this morning, of course, our very own Edo Dowusu joins us in the conversation, as well as the rest of the team. My brother St. Peter St. Rose is here with us as well. And of course, also joining us via Zoom online with our man Trigmatic, who will join us for the conversation. Now, this is a very big statement that has come up from Zap Mallet with regards to music royalty. Now, he further explains, he says, I was on the GAMRO board for 2 years and we tried instituting the split sheet from the office with Abraham Ajete. Good morning to my big sir, Captain. The CEO. But the thing was shut down, he says. I don't know why. We shut it down. He quoted to have said this on Showbiz A to Z, hosted by our brother Kwame Dazi on Joy FM. Despite meeting with some stakeholders to discuss the matter, the plan was unsuccessful, and Zap Mallet cites the lack of participation from producers and engineers as a contributing factor. I repeat, cites the lack of participation from producers and engineers as a contributing factor. I quote his words. We asked the Accra producers and engineers to meet us at GAMRO. They didn't show up. Just about 5 of them showed up. But guess what? While the producers in Kumasi were more receptive to the idea, Accra was happening. Those in Accra, they did not follow through with its implementation. Now I can sing the hymn. Oh God, our help in ages past. Who's singing with me, please?
I hope for
Years to come. I'll leave it right there, cause it's hard. Cyril, you feel Raman for me?
You can put the rap for
So, there has been, I'm very sure we've all heard, well, in fact, we've all heard what I just read. And clearly there's been interest and there's been proactiveness from some individuals and stakeholders on trying to generate a split sheet. Ricky, hold on. A split sheet system. Please, you can understand it's a mouthful.
That's
okay?
what you wanted to see.
Yes, please, sir. A split sheet system. Now, we've seen the number of collaborations that have happened in our industry. In fact, let's name some of the greatest collaborations that we've had so far with artists in our space. A roundtable discussion on this. Let me cast my mind to
Shatta Wale King Promise.
Shatta Wale King Promise. Yes. In fact, take us back first, and then we can just come into the future. Olele, I don't know if you can also think through a few of them.
The collaborations.
Yes, some amazing collaborations, songs, and then we can look at even the contributors.
The Sarkodie Ifya capsule there, we can never touch it.
Sarkodie Ifya, yes.
Landlord and landlady.
Sarkodie has a number of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, the capsule.
Mugis,
Sarkodie
Sarkodie, Castro.
One day called R2B's wasn't a bad one. And the era of Samini, when I say the era of Samini, Batman, in the era of Batman,
KK Fosu, Cocovelli,
numerous collabs, yes.
Untouchable collabs.
Untouchable collaborations. True.
Uncountable.
Yes, all those songs. I'm actually wondering whether there was any
split sheets.
Well, clearly there was no split sheets. That's what has come out now. But I wonder if there were any conversations on how to share the profits that would come off this music product, and what could possibly be the kind of conversations they may have had then, before we come to understanding what these split sheets can do. Or even before that, maybe who might want to give us just school us a bit on split sheets? Cyril Olele. Let me leave that to you before I come to the business itself with Edward.
It's just a write-up saying that for this body of work, these are the contributors, these are the creators, these are the roles that everybody played. And with regards to these roles, when there's any income earned from the production, this is how the income will be allocated.
So it's like a contract.
MOU, basically.
An MOU.
So it's a music MOU. Jay Foley and Cyril worked on this song. Cyril was the composer of the beat and co-writer of the song. Jay Foley was a co-writer and performer only. So
based on that,
when the money comes, I get my money for my beat. I get some of your money for writing. You keep the rest for writing and performing.
Does this only is this only limited to royalties, or it cuts across to performance? And
it's like any contract. Like, you figure out what.
So whatever you want to cover, you just ensure that.
So maybe I did this. It's my song. I featured you guys, but if I perform it, I give you a stake in.
That's based on a contract. You can say that it's a song for your album, and you are going to go on tour, so you have the rights to perform it solely, and any revenue from performance will be retained for you. But all streaming revenue or other playback revenue would be split according to A, B, C, D.
What about possibilities of brands buying the song to use as endorsements and stuff like that?
So those are all caveats that will be put in the contract. Any brand endorsement or commercial use that does not fall in the realms of blah blah that stated will be discussed between both parties, and failure to inform either party of such a transaction will lead to la 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 la. So it's in the contract. So if a brand calls you now that they want the song $10 million, you are required to call them.
So let me ask: is this a template that is there, just has to be just remodeled, or this is something that is created from scratch based on the collaboration that's been done?
That has to be remodeled based on the conversation.
So it's just an MOU.
Yeah, it's just an MOU. Like
so if it's just an MOU, then where lies? Must you present this MOU to Gamro, or Gamro gives you a certain template to use?
Gamro doesn't even need to be in the conversation. Ideally, I think what Gamro was trying to do was empower the creators to use the split sheet.
Today, we have a very big challenge. Congrats, well done, my brother. Like he said, is that what you're trying to say?
Is that what you're trying to say?
Bro, I will get physical. I no chop this morning, Charlie. Yeah, so the musicians can handle that. The management can handle that. The label can handle that. Whoever is involved in the business of the music making can handle it. But I think Gamro's job is or was to communicate this to the artist and train them on how this works and why it's pivotal for them to have these, because then it makes Gamro's job easier. Should Gamro come to 3 Music to come and collect royalties for Jay Foley's music, they know, as per the copy of the split sheet that they might have, that Jay Foley is supposed to get 70% of this money and Cyril will get 30%. You get it? So that's the idea. Gamro needs it. It's like a contract that when it comes to revenue sharing, they'll be able to tell which one is relevant to which individual. So that's it.
I think for Gamro as well, for a very long time, they've been arbitrators in a lot of issues.
Yeah.
All the time, when these musicians get issues, a lot of times they move to them. So for them, it's important that they educate the musicians to understand the need for these things, to avoid those things later on in their career.
We are going to come to the leadership conversation, and who will be best fit in terms of skill, professionalism, and all to lead some of these institutions so that, we can get the best out of it. But before that, I know we don't have a Gamro rep here, but I want to understand how difficult, because per Zapmala's statement, how difficult was it to have generated this document, create a template, and then create a policy around it that any artist going into a collaboration should come for this? Because when you're going to call people to come and sit in a room to be schooled on this, is where the problem with people and how they'll be receptive to some of these things.
Ato Kilson, who's doing the listening, says back then the older artists used the mutual benefit model.
Yep.
They hope the collaborative song becomes a hit, and then you get booked for shows to perform the said songs. What they didn't actually realize was that they were executing one aspect of the royalty collection, which is in this case the performance royalties. So he gives an example like Drake performed the Whitney Houston song at the Dreamville Festival, and since it was a ticketed event, the outfit would have to pay money to Whitney's estate because they have exploited her IP for their financial benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense to not hear of a split sheet back in the day. But my question is, when education sets in, why didn't we reconcile that? Why didn't we, more or less recalibrate ourselves into that position to continue the tradition in a way that it will benefit the upcoming ones?
Because we are facing that with Obrafo, and which was, I don't know if it's been resolved though, but Obrafo, Killer
So it makes sense
Blood,
about the collaborative efforts, right? It becomes a hit song, everybody eats, right? If you come into the studio and then we do a record together, even if my contribution is just 2% and the song blows, at least.
Where do you get the money from to eat?
Is it? That's what I'm saying.
The money to eat?
Back then, the marketers were buying it.
The
marketers were buying it first hand, right?
Distributors, you see, the model has changed.
Yeah.
When somebody would come and say, "Oh, Lele, give me your album. I'll give you 30,000 upfront," and then the music is now mine for 99 years. That model doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's only young American rappers who are collecting $1 million for 5 albums and buying jewelry. The trend now is that you earn as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So your earning is directly tied to the mileage and success of the song. And radio and TV are pivotal in that success.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a flawed system here when radio and TV do not easily contribute that earning structure to the artist. How many radio stations are actively logging in the music and reporting their plays that we played Jay Foley's song 150 times this week? Logging it. Is the NCA taking in these logs? When we playlist in the system and all that, the same way we're able to generate transmission certificates for radio
spots,
we're supposed to do that for each artist we play, for each song we play, so that the artist can actually know why he's charting, why his airplay is growing, and what that airplay means, even if it's 1 cent per play that's being generated. These are so when you are a musician, right, and somebody says, "Come and let's do split sheet," and you are an educated musician, you know that the song that they play for me on ASF, I don't make any revenue from them. My money they come from Spotify, Apple Music, Boomplay, Deezer. What I need Gamro forms and split sheet forms for when I perform, if I feature you and I'm going to perform, we have a deal. I can tell you I'm going to Germany to perform the song. You go fit come, I no go fit can go run now. Maybe tomorrow you go to Canada, I can't go. So that's the mutual benefit system. So Sarkodie performs songs that he has features on when he's on tour.
Even
and the features, and Burna Boy does it. That's the mutual benefit. There's nothing wrong with that.
Black Sharif song.
Do you get it? So the problem is that a lot of things need to work for that split sheet in the end to have the value it is meant to have. You can be a writer in America on somebody's song. Nobody knows your name. But because every system is working, you go there and eat.
So the split sheet is supposed to go to Gamro. Is that what you're saying?
Gamro is supposed to have a split sheet, a copy of Olele and J. Foley split sheet. Okay. So that when Gamro goes to Eddie FM and Justice Eddie FM for 10 CDs, they know that we have to give 7 CDs to Olele and 3 CDs to J. Foley because that's what they agreed on their split sheet. But the problem here is that the two of you are not even doing the split sheet. Gamro, so hence Gamro doesn't have any copy. And even if the two of you did do the split sheet and there was a copy with Gamro, Eddie FM is not paying for the music they are playing because they are also playing the music saying they are promoting you. Do you get it?
Yeah.
DJ one collects more, host one collects more. We want to push the music.
So that
for
means
you.
the problem here is Gamro has not been able to institute a system that automatically do the deduction.
No,
It's not
there's a
Gamro's
system,
job.
but it's,
Gamro's
you can think
job-
of it more like as an analog system.
Yeah.
Yes,
Where
that's what I'm
there's
saying.
a flat rate.
Yes,
so they are working with a particular model that says that based on the number of, before it used to have to do with the number of albums you have and all of the formulas. But I think from since last year, they mentioned that they've been logging.
Yeah.
And they are sharing revenue based on that as well. So I think with all these points that have been made, I think it links directly to the topic that we are discussing about leadership. For me, leadership inspires, basically. Leadership is that one that can help you achieve your vision and your mission. So clearly, leadership is not playing its full role in these spaces because it has to do with a lot of people. And when you look at the various industries, what have made the various industries successful, like the Teachers Union, like the Medical Association, is the fact that they are able to organize themselves properly and have a good leadership in front of them who can lobby for whatever they want. Fortunately or unfortunately, most of our things, most of our challenges will be solved when the right policies come in. Most of our things are linked to policies. That's why a lot of times people are helpless. You know, you try push on your own, you can't do it. Because a lot of these things are tied by policies. If there's a policy today that says that radio station, you need to log before you are allowed to operate, everybody will comply. Speaking of systems that log, it's not. We have the systems here. We've had the systems here close to 10 years. Yeah. NC is monitoring every single radio TV station. So we'll just take a policy to say that Gamro will be allowed access to that data, and based on that data, they will work. But clearly, there's no policy to drive all of these things as well.
And
to
add to what Eddie is saying, the same way.
It makes so serious.
Pardon? Yeah,
That's so serious.
yeah, be money.
I shocked them, like today we're making.
I'm not want me
surprised.
serious.
It's very, very serious.
This be the trick. If you want me to
Maybe
be
they hump
serious
too,
every day,
so.
let's talk about money. You understand? Yeah.
Get it.
So the point here is that when you book an ad slot or an LPM slot or an interview slot on a prime time show, the rate is different from when you book it at 9 p.m. or you book it at 11 p.m.
Yeah, the off-peak times.
The off-peak time. So you have peak, off-peak, and then your standard times. Same applies to music. If you're going to use J. Foley's show, a song, to kickstart your show or play it on your show, it means your listeners, right, want to listen to that kind of music, that caliber of artist. That's why they stay sustain on your show. So the artist that is played on a primetime show, for that play, will earn more than an up-and-comer who is on the midnight show. So the systems already exist. The same way, think of the...
So people, they take the things. So if for instance, cost.
The systems
PPMs.
already there. PPMs, yeah. I'm not sure. So the systems are already there. The same way we are able to categorize, track, and generate revenue from radio ads is the same system we can use to track, place, and generate revenue from music. But who pays that cost? That means it's going to be a burden now for the radio stations, because on an average 24-hour span, the radio station probably plays 100, 200 different artists, with some getting multiple plays on the same station. Even if you have to pay somebody 100 cedis at the end of the day, and it's 200, those people a day, that revenue is going to tank the station. And that station is going to have to move that revenue, transfer it to the advertiser.
So
right?
I want to have some clarity.
Yeah.
Is it that the radio stations are not paying at all? Because I don't want us to create that impression.
That's why the radio stations have been given
there's a flat rate.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That
there's a flat rate.
But the flat
that
rate,
one,
the flat rate.
I can tell you off.
The flat rate puts
this thing that something.
So I think for us as well,
let me give you an example.
Cyril, I just want to do this before. I think a lot of times we all need to think of this as stakeholders, rather than, you owe me and I need to take it. We all acknowledge the role of these platforms to the development of an artist. And we also acknowledge the environment in which some of these platforms operate. I can bet you most of these radio and TV stations are surviving on their last breath.
Oh, yes.
And it's just beyond, I'm not holding brief because they have to pay GAMRO fees. But there are other things in there that are crippling these people, like taxes, like, utility and all of those things. So it's just like this ECG issue that is going out there, people are stealing because it's expensive. But if you are able to acknowledge the role of that platform and say that, okay, we are developing an industry. So for the next 10, 20 years, let's institutionalize and allow and see how we can grow with you.
Okay, so then on the back of, let me ask you guys, Cyril and Eddie, that the systems that have been in place globally, are they or can they work in every environment? Or we're supposed to look at a way that we can localize our systems?
You see, why are we like this?
I'm asking.
Every time we have to do the difficult thing for the bigger picture, we complain, and it's difficult, and it's this, and businesses. This is how the success we want. The wonderful industry, the lucrative radio stations, all that. This is how it begins, with sacrifice. You need to find a way to make the business work. That's the only way the business will work.
You see, the problem I have is that, in other industries, these things start with conversations. So you're going to have GIBA around the table. You're going to have GAMRO around the table. You're going to have a musicians union around the table who will be fighting for musicians. So that is why I try to link the leadership in there. So if your leadership is weak, you don't blame us.
I understand perfectly. But what I'm saying is
if your leadership is not sitting around the table, Eddie, and fighting and ensuring that these things work. I've never heard of...
If the machine works,
if
you build the machine, if you sacrifice and build the machine and the machine is efficient, leadership in your various unions would not be so crippling. The machine doesn't work.
I want to ask you, Eddie has raised a point, a very, very valid... Lenny, we haven't heard much from you yet.
Yeah,
drop your fight and drop your blows.
But
I want to ask,
I'll come in soon.
Eddie has raised a certain interesting point with regards to the economy, how things are, how even why people are bypassing the the correct systems and all these illegal connections and all, because they can't afford to have that operational cost and make... I'm coming.
I can flip it and tell you that.
And I'm coming to your question. I'm going to the question, the split question. So
I won't interject. Go on.
So the thing is that, can a radio station? Let's answer this question objectively. Can a radio or television station run if they were supposed to pay? If we were into a flat rate, they were supposed to pay according to how much music.
Can I answer?
And people's content they were using.
Yes.
Can I answer?
Can they survive?
So imagine you have artist A who goes to A-class studio. Was it Gold City? Was it? Is it Gold City? The one.
Which one?
Where
the studio.
Went, the studio.
Yeah. Goes there.
Pays your 2,000 CDs an hour, whatever, blah blah. Creates a jam. That jam is on radio. Cyril sits in his living room with his Focusrite and creates a jam, right? And then both those songs are on radio. And then you do a blanket amount, and then you share the same 10 CDs for the guy who puts in 10,000 CDs to mix and master a song to world standard with the same guy who did a normal export to MP3 in his living room. It is not going to be fair to the creator. So what's going to happen is that the standard of the content we are creating will dwindle. Because whether I produce music like Beyonce or I produce music that doesn't meet the standard, you are still going to give me the same blanket fee from your radio station.
Okay, so
that's a problem. Now, secondly, the radio station always has the opportunity to transfer its cost, its debt, to the advertiser. Radio gets because radio is an advertising medium. Yeah. Still the most potent in markets like Africa. So the fact remains that you can transfer this money to the people who want to advertise, because the music you are playing is value creation. Take your biggest show, your biggest talk show, your biggest personality. Let them do a mute show where there's no songs. Let them come on board and talk and rattle and do their whatever without playing music. Even political shows, newspaper reviews, have music as a critical part of the little entertainment factor that comes with it. So the music should not be seen as doing the artist a favor. That's the flaw that it's been in our industry for decades. The music is as critical as your microphone to make your show a success. So if you know you are going to play Eddie's song, Eddie spending 10K to make the song a hit needs that remuneration back. You cannot let Eddie spend money, the same ECG you are talking about, the same transport cost, the same high whatever that you are complaining about. Those factors still affect Eddie. But Eddie did the difficult thing and created something that was up to standard, which you now use at a flat fee. You understand? So basically nullifying his investment.
So how would it work if an artist has got a deal with a station?
So for me, I think I agree 100% with Cyril, right? I think my conversation is also ties to the question you asked before Cyril came in about, do we pick systems from outside and just bring them in here, or we tailor? So we would have to tailor. So that is when you need to look at your existing problems. So your industry is not growing. It's within that space, it's still growing. And we need all of these stakeholders to grow together. So my argument is that how do we bring all these people around the table to have a conversation and see how they can help each other grow? Probably they are logging a cent per play in another market. A cent per play may not work for your space. I also believe in equity. I don't believe everybody should be served based on a blanket fee. But if I'm logging and I'm getting to know exactly what I'm getting, that is what works for me. But for me, it just goes beyond just carrying a system and dropping the system here. We need to tailor that system, looking at our challenges and how we want to grow the industry.
So that's why I asked that question on localizing or what would be the word, please, Royston St. Peter's.
Tailoring.
Yes, tailoring. Thank you. Which school is this?
St. Peter's.
Jesus, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Tailoring this to fit our market, because clearly we do understand that radio gets results, like Cyril said. Yeah. But it also boils down to the structure of the type of economy we have in Africa. Even you drill down to Ghana. And you have over 400 radio stations across the country, some in rural areas. You're wondering how much the advertiser is, and the big stakeholders, are they even putting that much money on these stations in the rural areas? Let me just say, the telcos, the beverage companies, are they advertising that much in these stations? They're not. Now the digital market has come in now. It's cut down the budgets. Realistically, are they putting that money on radio? At first, you go to, let's say, you can go to MTN or Vodafone or Airtel or Zain and get a big some 300,000 cedis for 2 months to spend. It's not the case any longer. Times have changed. So now, can you burden the advertiser with the debt you're talking about on the airplay of music? What will be the ripple effect with a Ghanaian knowing that I have to pay so much money for music? Then I might as well just introduce more talk shows and then limit that. Or there'll be a lot of chaos with the system. So is it a possibility
VOA
of I don't understand. And you see, you are mentioning VOA. You are mentioning
one genre.
No, I'm not. See, guys.
No, we accept what you're saying. Nobody's fighting. I'm asking that is it possible to tailor it?
Yes, that's 100%. I'm answering the question. That's what I'm saying. That the radio stations, Krano, you are capable of creating a music radio station, right? Or you are doing a talk radio, or you are doing a hybrid. There's radio stations Like the BBC. BBC has platforms where they just talk. Forget your music. And that's because they are funded by the government. So they can afford to come and talk. If you are a private entity and you want to start a radio station and you won't play music to entertain people, go ahead. If it lasts, hooray. If it doesn't, blah, blah, blah. All I'm saying is that the music rights organizations, the performance royalties organizations, GAMRO, whatever you want to call them, their job is to go into the radio station and receive the revenue. My problem is that when they receive that revenue, you cannot use your own two eyes to say that because Jay Foley is a bigger artist than Lenny, so Jay Foley, Lenny, Oba and Che, and also Kakrawi. That is the problem. That's why they are trying to get the artist to go into split systems so that now GAMRO doesn't have to burden themselves with that decision-making process that, okay, this 1,000 CDs we've got from Culture Daily, how do we share it? It's on paper. So the 1,000 CDs is already on paper. They send everybody their momo. Case closed. But right now, that paper doesn't exist from the artist side. And I'm saying that is because the artists are not seeing the value or the understanding in how radio works for them. Because over the last 2 decades, artists have felt privileged to be on radio. And there's an extent to which, yes, you have to be privileged that you are getting played. But the idea that being played on radio should earn you has not sunk in for the artist to also share one small
Motown. Sunk. I give you.
You don't think that's because GAMRO has failed them? Because you
can't blame GAMRO.
There's no virtue. There's no confidence.
There are regulations. When you start a radio station, my brother, there are regulations. Even if there are regulations, it's like saying the police are not there, so I'll do the wrong thing. There are regulations. When you start a radio station, you are supposed to bring your TCs for your ads. You are supposed to bring your playlist TCs. You are supposed to do ABC. You are supposed to pay royalties. So you, the radio station, knowing that I have to pay royalties, you should pick up the phone and say, royalties, no, who do we pay to? GAMRO, please come for your money. Oh, you guys are not working. Is there another association? Blah, blah, blah.
About an automated tracking system.
For
GAMRO, because if the radio
so GAMRO cannot do the tracking.
As I said,
NCA and the radio stations, between the radio stations and the NCA, they can go back 5 years from today, this Thursday, 5 years ago at 11 o'clock, and tell you what was played on any station. It is all logged. So the tracking system exists.
So why hasn't it been able to syndicate?
So as I mentioned, it's about policy, pure policy. There needs to be that policy that will be passed in Parliament that says that GAMRO has the mandate to access this data for their work.
Yes.
But the kind of data NCA has, or system that they have, is it a monitoring system that can be
real-time, monitoring every single radio TV
it's a real-time
station?
Is it software or is it
software? High-tech.
So that's what I'm saying.
High-tech, which was built by, one of the top engineering company. I don't know whether I'm allowed to mention. Bahamus built that system. So clearly, you can monitor.
So if you have a system already,
how doesn't it work?
Yes, if you have a system already, why?
Because there's no
consequence.
Because if that's what he's saying, the policy that he's speaking about is using big English for consequence.
So that's where we need
no
to draw in the leadership to say
if
that
there was consequence.
Now Musicians Union is lacking leadership to be able to push these things.
Okay, let's look at now that we brought leadership.
Now ties us into our leadership.
I want to talk about
Jay, can I finish with the
okay, please go ahead.
Conversation first? Okay, so now we hear so many times how these artists go into the studio and it's just inshallah and vibes. And then they make the song without thinking of, how are we even going to do the splits if you have to perform? Yes, if you have to perform, am I the one performing? Can I perform your songs? Because we hear how, some musicians say that, no, this is my song and no one else can perform it, even if you are the one as a feature on it. Those things come up. Now let's use Akwaba as an example. Mr. Easy was on there, as well as Papi Kojo, and then Patapa as well, right? Moving on from that song, we've seen how Papi Kojo has later come to say Mr. Easy has to give him some money and all of that. Mr. Easy has gone forward to do a remix, right, with Montano, right, without even informing Papi Kojo. So in those cases,
we don't know yet.
And then the matter is in court, as Papi Kojo says. But that's what Papi Kojo says. So now in those cases, how are they now coming to reconcile? You guys have been doing this for a while. What would you say should be done in such a case if they didn't do the basics, if they didn't do the needful at the start of everything?
Because they're either out of court settlements or
just like any issue. I think the first option is ADR, where you two can sit down and decide. If it doesn't work, the courts normally settle these things.
And even there's nothing wrong with still saying that, look, our song is 5 years old and it's still jamming. Let's sign a split sheet.
Yeah, so that is where probably I will agree or you won't agree.
Yeah, and that's where the ADR comes in.
That's where the ADR comes in,
Years later,
Yeah.
after the fights.
Yeah. If listen, it's a human institution.
Okay. Great.
The problem in Ghana is multifaceted. It's not one institution that's crumbling at a time. Everywhere is crumbling at the same time. The artists are not taking, well, maybe in the last 6 months, 8 months, the artists are not taking the legal business side as seriously as they should. That's the first error. The royalties and the collective societies and all that are also not where they need to be. Because of this discrepancy between creator and manager of the creator, the platform, which is the radio TV station, has also pretended like they don't know. And because they are also pretending like they don't know, they have to make these payments. NCA to JI. So NCA is sitting with this trunk load of data that if there were consequences, the radio station should be clawing and begging that tell him I'm data I don't want fine. Do you understand? So, and when the radio station picks that data, the radio station should want to get that money off before Gamro comes chasing.
I want to ask about this data with NCA.
I want to look into what Willie was saying, where the clarity comes in. So with the National Identification Authority.
That's what I was about to ask. That
and a number of institutions are mandated to access that data, and these are done purely by policy and law. So, for instance, the Immigration Service is mandated to get access. It's
Police.
up to you, an institution, to make a case and make it well to be able to be mandated to have that access. And for them, so that's why I said that certain industries have been organized so well, they're able to champion and push for certain things that work for them. And that is what lacks on our side.
So let's bring one of the leaders who, for me, got very close to creating a very well perceived strong brand out of let's say Musica, which was Obo.
Right.
So I give credits to all the salutes to him for his work. Now with leadership again. So is it that the people who have championed these organizations, is it lack of insight, do we think, or there may be some behind the scenes stumbling blocks that prevent some of these things? Because we can't just put all the blame on the person's failure, like that. There definitely is something that is stopping the person from being able to access this data from NCA. And maybe the way NCA collects its data, it's not usable by any of these organizations. Maybe for you to be able to go and listen to all the songs that were played, it's the way it was collected might make it very difficult for you because it's not teased out for your usage. So coming back to the leadership, what could be some of the stumbling blocks that would prevent? Because this is black and white.
Jay, with this, right?
Yes.
What I'm thinking is, shouldn't they have reps on ground, at the NCA, who will be able to collate this over time? Because if you say that at the end of the day, you can't pinpoint which
NCA's mandate is not
so
collect.
It's not about the NCA. I'm saying that the collective societies, so like GAMRO, right? Shouldn't they have people on ground, like a rep, who will be able to collect these things?
GAMRO has cried for the softwares and the cost of the softwares for a while now.
No.
I'm telling you what I know.
I'm telling you what I know.
It should be done some way, somehow. Guys, shouldn't it be serious?
Our problem is that we are assuming that because people are aware of a problem in an institution, they somehow will be aware of a solution for it. So we put administrators in roles where there should be technocrats. GAMRO's biggest problem is that GAMRO is losing out on the data. The data is passing through their hands. They're not able to track the songs in real time.
That's what I'm asking about.
It's not about a rep. There are softwares that do this. And I am aware of at least 2 companies that have offered to give these softwares for free. That's a whole different conversation. So that's why I stopped you on the it's expensive.
I think to some extent, this conversation
GAMRO needs technocrats. You are tracking data. A song is a data file. and that data file is being shared across
but
multiple
not to paint
platforms.
the picture as if the people at Gamro are not aware of.
They are
or they don't
software
know
engineers.
No, I don't think it's not about software engineers. I don't think we know the hierarchy of the back end of because we are very much aware of the front end. We know of the Abrahams, we know of the Rex Umars.
We know.
But because I've been
Hello,
there, and
Jeffrey,
I'll hold brief that there are people in there
for me, I think,
who have in-depth knowledge on these
Jay,
things.
you mentioned.
So let's look at if anything, let's look at the culture of the people in there, because if you put a Ghanaian, whether in the military uniform or in a political suit, the person is still a Ghanaian.
I want to localize it.
Theo didn't finish.
You mentioned that a number of blocks need to come together to have a full industry. Do you know why the PURC is in existence? The PRC is just in existence to check the utility companies from not overcharging us. So in the case of Gamro, who is that watchdog? A lot of times we limit the watchdog issue to radio talk or panditry. And we expect that because we've been on radio and TV and we've spoken, Gamro should listen. Who has ever tested the law in this space?
Also, let's note that I think Gamro is not a state agency.
No, but they can be sued.
Yeah.
No, I did not say they can be.
That's why he said PURC.
You put it like John Bettino. I say it's not. What I'm saying is that
Alliance for Change, right? Alliance for
Yes.
Magdalens and Kofi.
Yes, of which I'm an admin.
Of which you are an admin for.
Yes.
I think you guys took Gamro on, didn't you?
Yes, and that
and he failed.
I've not failed.
Leadership.
Oh no.
So I want to find
That's
out.
why I know the problem, and I'm telling you.
So
Leadership.
because of what Eddie says, you guys the group became like the watchdog for Gamro.
And he has failed us.
Or becoming.
Yeah, becoming.
What has been the bottleneck between the two parties, and why haven't you been able to succeed?
Because he has failed.
Because we need, like Eddie said, we need the blessing to be able to.
Blessing from who?
We need the blessing of policy to be able to use consequence as a deterrent for the misactions of all the players in the industry.
Good.
Everybody is misbehaving. From the radio station to NCA to Gamro to the artist, everybody they mess up
And what have you
one way or
challenged?
the other. But there is no consequence because there is no policy.
So what has been your
That's
challenge?
what I'm saying. Because there is no active.
No.
I'm telling you what the challenge is.
Yeah.
The challenge is that there is no active policy that holds Party A responsible to B.
No, I'm not saying that. What has been your challenge?
Challenge as an organization.
As an
trying to
organization,
remain
accessing data.
Good. Who's
And-
stopping it?
Who is stopping the
Yes.
data? We've had problems with every aspect of it. We've had problems with Gamro. We've had problems with state institutions. We've had problems with
Exactly.
radio stations. That's what I'm
So you
telling
can
you. that
imagine what kind of problems.
you guys are not letting
that
me
some
land.
of these. Okay, finish. Sorry,
make
yeah.
it, make it.
I am telling you that we do not have administrative problems with our music and our royalty system. We have technical problems where what we are chasing is data. A song is a data file being played and consumed across multiple platforms simultaneously 24/7. If you do not have the data and the technical acumen or team to be able to track these things, track the revenue models and the payment allocations and everything, you are trying to catch water with a basket.
So that means you and Gamro are suffering the same disease.
We are not suffering
I
the
don't
same
think
disease
so.
as Gamro because
Gamro can also say they don't have
we
data.
have the technical back. This is not a comparison debate.
No, of course it's not.
But
I'm
we
just
have the
trying to-
technical back end, we have the technical partners, as well as the administrators, as well as the technocrats. We are waiting on the policy to allow us the license.
Okay, so who
to
needs
operate.
who needs to give us that policy? Who needs?
We've
to
already done.
constitute-
I mean, I'm not going to disclose our.
No, but he's saying
plans
in
here,
general.
but
So
Just
who's
like any other,
responsible?
Like any other policy, you put it
have
up to
people who
Parliament
sponsor
and you-
policies. So
yeah.
you can decide to say that, okay,
We need a policy
henceforth,
document. You advocate
no
for
traffic
it.
lights in,
Yeah.
in this town, and
Yeah,
you can
so
be able to make sense.
So what I want to find out is,
He's asking a very important question.
Has the policy that you guys have put together, has it been pitched to those? To
That
those,
is
those
what
in
that's
power?
what I've answered. That the policy document needs to be put together, and then we need to get it on the floor.
Yeah,
and
so
then
you
we need
haven't
that
done it.
We have done it. The policy
So
document.
what is stopping
has,
from the policy?
We are waiting. You don't tell Parliament when to sit on your
No,
policy.
so you submitted to Parliament.
Good. That's what I'm telling you. That I am not going to disclose. That's what I said. I already agreed. I said that we have done everything.
Good. So that means
that
there's
is
a
needed
stumbling
on the
block
back
somewhere.
end.
No, but
what we are waiting
Jay,
on
that is
now
the right
is
thing they are
that's
doing.
what I said.
No
I
policy
just
has
listen.
no
I
easy
understand.
No,
Listen.
we are not fighting that.
Because
Guys,
you see, see,
that's
for
the
the
guys.
benefit of
You are
those-
too eager to prove the point
is a
that
very
you are
smart
missing
guy.
the
They
point.
ask questions in a certain.
You are missing the point.
No, for the benefit
I
of
said,
those who
I
are
said,
not in there.
I
you get me?
said-
I'm
But I
just
think
trying
he
to break it
mentioned
down.
I mentioned it. I said everything that needs to be done on the technical side with the technocrats, the right software partners, all that have been done. All we are waiting on now is to get that policy that allows us
From government.
Yes, that allows us
Yes.
to whip
To also
out the
collect.
consequence.
Good.
You see, collecting is not just the problem.
Good.
It's that whether you collect or you don't collect now, there's no consequence.
Good.
Can any Ghanaian artist take any radio station to court right now?
Okay.
Is it possible? What backing
in
are
this
you going
case-
to stand
in
on
this case,
to
come
take?
back to Jay's question, right? What has been the challenge of having that policy discussed in Parliament to a point of elevating it to a
It's just bureaucracy.
Aside that, we're
Exact-
not-
so that's what
aside
I'm
that we're
saying.
also
You're
not
not
seeing.
getting it.
We're also
The
not seeing.
microphone. Yeah,
We're also
yeah,
not
yeah.
seeing a lot more interest. There's just one organization trying to do
Good.
this. And you know,
So-
you could also, there are
so you
challenges
see-
and all of that. So we
So
need
you see
to have
how
a
we are
lot more
listing.
collectives.
So you see how this conversation now
Yeah.
we are listing the problems that is
Listen,
to us.
do you
One,
know who has that policy
the-
already?
the-
Who has it?
Do you know who has the state backing already? Gamro.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what
currently
I'm
they are
saying.
the
Like,
only.
you and
So
Gamma
so if you are
face the
so
same
so
problem.
policy, you are not getting it.
No, see,
I'm
I
telling you
think
that
you're also
it's
not getting
possible
us.
to have all the tools.
Yeah.
Right. Gamro has the state support, has the visibility that the radio stations should respect,
they're choosing not to
has
work.
everything. But Gamro lacks the technical ability to actually do the work efficiently. So for Gamro's problem is the technicals, the technocrats, is the back end. It's not about
And they are
putting
not-
formal
I don't-
Let me finish. Let me
No,
finish.
no,
Let me
I
give you
don't
the
think
example.
so. I don't think so too, Cyril.
And so what? So are you saying that you guys having the technocrats and all those, and Gamma doesn't want to work? Hold on, Gamma doesn't want to work with you
Cyril,
to make.
the same-
Clarify
just
the
working
point.
with an
Cyril,
existing
Let me give you a
Yeah,
let
but
me
I'm
give you
saying
let me
that-
give you a hard
Clarify the
fact.
point
Let me give you a hard fact.
Okay.
In our inception, we reached out to the right software partners, right, and the right technocrats who responded back and said, "Oh yeah, Ghana, we are aware. We reached out to so and so to offer these same systems for free." We were even willing to come and set up these systems, train your people for free, blah blah blah. But they didn't accept
accept.
our offer. And these are so. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so when
on
I'm
the
telling
front-
you
the
that,
reason why I'm
So
trying to
for
save-
me, I
I'm-
think it's never been a software problem.
no,
So-
I'm
so
not saying
for
when I
me-
say technocrats.
No. So I think I'm coming in because of the fact that you said that you brought in software guys. That system it has never been a software system, and we all agree that NCA as an organization would have it already.
Yes,
it has been a pure policy issue that mandates you, that gives you that leg to stand on and challenge the guy. You get me? And that's the reason why it's all talk all the time.
So basically, what we are dealing with is bureaucracy and political interference.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing a challenge.
This is exactly
I'm also seeing
where
a
I
very,
wanted,
very big
because-
flaw within the collective of the musicians.
Okay.
I feel if Musica was
this case,
that
Musica.
strong, Musica could have.
That's why I'm saying.
And it still comes back to political
That's what
interference
I'm
and
saying.
bureaucracy.
I'm actually speaking. I think Olele and I are actually pushing the conversation in your favor.
Yeah.
But we want to steer it so that people don't carry the wrong
Impression.
impression.
Yeah.
Conversation.
You may have technocrats there. You may have people who understand the systems very well. For whatever reasons why they didn't accept it's a back end conversation.
Yes.
Maybe there's some business conversation that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Who knows? I can't speak for Gamro. However, we have the right people to be able to champion this conversation. But it seems that all the things we are saying goes right down to the doorstep of governance.
Yes.
It falls there, and
The
that is
various
where
collectives.
collectives.
Yeah.
So-
Musica.
And we
Access
ourselves,
bills,
we have
you
multiple fronts that don't speak the same language.
Yes.
Yes.
That's another problem.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we have musicians complaining about Gamro who are not even registered to Gamro.
Yeah.
We have musicians who have just heard from another person hearsay that Gamro, they don't give they don't pay royalty. When you yourself, you haven't even done what is right by going there to the office to actually go through the process. You feed off those who have gone through the process and what they are saying. So in itself, we the creatives or the musicians already have a very I don't want to use the word confused, but we are not united in our conversations.
But Jay, with that,
Then
don't you think?
our representation as well. I stand to be correct me if I'm wrong. Our representation on some of these political fronts, also how we even chastise the people who represent us. What kind of support we throw to people who support us, who are representing us, is another conversation altogether. You understand? So the problems of governance when they do their priority sheet, because there are a lot of headaches in the country.
This is not to hold brief.
Oh no,
No. I mean, not to hold brief for the artists.
Let me end it. Let me end it, please.
End it.
So on the priority sheet, on the priority split sheet, when the Minister of Finance sits to distribute money, anybody in his right frame of mind would tackle the things that would either be personal benefits
or getting your
would
attention.
Get your attention for the next 8 years.
You're not part of the
And so you realize that in as much as creatives are contributing so much to everything, December in Ghana,
I think we need to also make this clear.
we are not priority because we ourselves.
And it's rather unfortunate.
Jay, one thing we should also know is that not everybody can be a leader.
Of
Not
course.
everybody, you need to possess certain skills.
Why
be able to
when they were passing tourism bills, were there technocrats there? When they were passing bills on energy, did they just go and bring anybody who was representing them?
No. Yeah.
You need policy analysts. You need people who look like we have a CEO here at 3 Media Networks. She is the big wig here, but she will not be on the morning show because that's not her forte, right? What we have seen happen with Gamro is, if I had to put an analogy to it, it's like Madam Rush starting Culture Daily in the morning because she's the boss.
I beg to differ there.
No,
I think the scenario is you're not going to be fair. I think if you say that,
Eddie,
then you are relegating the issue.
Eddie, has Gamro, you are the one saying that when they are reading the budget, we don't even make whatever. Has Gamro put forth, right, the 2 million CD or $2 million KPMG report that Musica got done for us? Has Gamro put it before Parliament? This is what the industry you are neglecting.
This is not just a Gamro issue. That's why I'm saying that.
I said that already. That it's a multifaceted
100%.
problem. But somebody has to lead the charge, and nobody is better positioned to lead the charge than the person who is aware of the value of the industry. Musica is a welfare society. It's about the musicians to come so that certain things can be done and structured for them. It's a welfare-based society. Gamro is the only one that works directly and actively with revenue. And if you are going to have
Musica as an organization is the main or the major stakeholder of Gamro.
Bro, yes.
So if I'm a major stakeholder of Gamro,
you are not getting
I can push you to work for me. I can push you not to be lazy.
No, you see, we're arguing about chicken and the egg. If Gamro is able to make a revenue argument that this industry that we are sleeping on is currently doing $500,000 a year. If we take this industry seriously, we could make him $5 billion a year.
My challenge is just trying to drop this just on Gamro's doorstep.
If that gets to policy,
we are all at fault.
Listen, if that gets to policy, and that policy gets approved, and it gets into the budget, and allocations to put things in place, right, to get it done and blah, 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 then every player in the industry is now galvanized to do their best. And anybody who drops the ball on their end will face the consequence. So now Musica, now that the parliament has passed that, okay, to enable us get $5 billion worth of music arts revenue, we are going to have to put in $1 million worth. Why? Because we need to make sure Musica is up to standard. We need a full active database of musicians from north to south. We need to categorize. We need to track. We need to get musician and song IDs for each person. We need to get mandate metadata tagging and all sorts of things. Right? They will put that in, and if you go to Musica right now, there's more value for you. I went to Musica. I was given an A4 form to go downstairs and photocopy and bring the original back. That's because they don't have money. The institution that's supposed to gather the musician. Imagine you are coming from New York, playing shows across, and then you come back to your home organization, and you are given paper to go and photocopy somewhere and fill your own form.
I want to link it to the leadership.
Your money come for that.
That's why I was saying I wanted not to hold brief for the artists.
Yeah. So
why do you think all our artists? Your top four artists. have their catalogs managed.
There's a
Just
reason why.
outside sake.
There's a reason why
Let's
teachers
Eddie,
are
yeah.
not relaxing and saying that Ministry of Education will protect our interests. There's a reason why there's a Teachers Union of Ghana. Recently, there's a new one, Concerned Teachers Union.
Yeah.
And it's because they realize the power in organizing. And if you look at all of these people, what have made them powerful is their leadership. So what I'm trying to say is, musical election is coming in. We need to ensure that we choose the right leaders. One of my favorite movies ever is Sister Act.
Yes.
Where, Whoopi Goldberg came into the class and the class was so disorganized. It had to take a leader to be able to bring all of these people together. The reason why young people are not joining Musica is because of the uninspiring nature of the leadership at Musica. But if we not, because at the end of the day, we also decide who leads us. And that's the irony about governance. You might not have voted for that guy, but when the guy comes in and he messes up, we all suffer. So we need to start organizing ourselves from the bottom. I probably don't want to be a leader, but I will probably have that role to be able to say that, Jay is the guy that can lead us.
Yes, exactly.
That can inspire us.
Exactly.
We need a guy who, when he shows up at 3 Music and says that, I want all of you here, you will come. You get me?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, we have 2 minutes to go, so please ask it.
Very funny, but
real quick, yeah.
you see the way the teachers and the doctors go on strike?
Yeah.
Can musicians also go on strike?
No, we can take actions. Those things are all called class actions or whatever. We can decide to take actions and decide to say that.
Action?
I already said that the only way the musicians' value will be relooked at and taken seriously is if the musician says, don't play my music. And
you know why they won't take it seriously?
All right,
because you are not organized.
All right, guys, hold on, please. I beg you. This one we have to quit for our salary. I beg you. So, are you ready for a once-in-a-lifetime holiday experience? Eddie, you are here, please.
I know, right?
Then it's time for you to make South Africa your next destination, to write your own travel stories whilst exploring our stunning hidden gems. Now, South Africa Tourism extends invitation to you to explore their picturesque country, sunny shores, and stunning landscapes. Just go ahead and visit www.southafrica.net to find out how you can also be part of their tours, adventures with your loved ones. Of course, enjoy some amazing shopping. On that note, guys, please, I know if I ask to pick one last word from you, we'll fight it out. So please, let me just bring.
Should have the last word.
Lenny, have the last word because
hold on.
We have 40 seconds left.
With what you said about signing on to government when the artists not doing the right thing, I mean, I understand that the artists have to do the right thing, right? But if you were an artist,
yes.
Jay, would you sign to government knowing that for people who have been in the industry and worked for decades, they've not even received up to 50,000 CDs as royalties? Would you do that?
Well, I'll leave that question unanswered.
You wouldn't do it.
I'll leave that question
So there's
unanswered.
nothing enticing them to also sign on, even though that is the right thing for them to do.
Yes.
So I think it trickles down. I mean, should government be doing the right thing and paying these artists their due, then I also think that the other artists, the upcoming artists, the first thing they'll think about in also wanting to earn royalties is, okay, let me sign to government so that at the end of the day, my royalties come in and then I have nothing to complain about.
Thank you very much for that last word. Our time is up. We have to go. I'm being cut off. And we'll be back here same time tomorrow. This conversation has been very good. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us this morning as well. And enjoy the rest of the day. We out.